My name is Damien. I am 73. I live on the outskirts of the city, in an old house that I once built with my own hands. Now this house is not a witness to life, but its shadow. The walls are holding on with their last strength, just like me. Peeling paint, cracks in the floor, silence in every corner. Every morning I get up at 7 o'clock sharp. Not because there is anything to hurry about, but out of habit. I sit at the kitchen table, where a kettle and a cup with a chipped rim are always waiting. I make black tea. No sugar. I drink it slowly, curled up in an old woolen blanket that smells of past winters. The TV is on silent. I just look at the faces. They move their mouths, laugh, shout, argue, but in my house there is no sound anymore. Only movement and light. A silent theater where I am the only spectator. My children are successful. My daughter is a psychotherapist in London. My son is the head of a large construction company. They call once a month. Take turns. We talk for 5 minutes. The weather, health, hold on, Dad. They are sincerely convinced that this is enough. My grandchildren only come for birthdays. Always with the same phrase, "Hello, Grandpa. How are you?" They don't wait for an answer. And I don't give one. Their eyes have already fled to the screens, their fingers are clicking something important. In the store, the saleswoman doesn't even look up. The doctor in the clinic talks about me as if I'm not there, take him away. He doesn't understand what's what anymore. I understand, damn it. I understand more than they can imagine. I just don't say it out loud anymore. What is old age? It's when you're still alive, but no one takes you into account anymore. When you come, and the air doesn't move. They don't see me. They don't listen to me. I'm no longer there. But I'm here. And I remember everything. I see who despises. I hear who laughs. And I write. In an old leather notebook, worn and burned on one side, I write down names, dates, words. Not for novels. Not for history. But for myself. Because the world has forgotten who I was. But I haven't forgotten. And when all that's left inside you is emptiness, it becomes the perfect space for fire. A small fire. Warm at first, almost gentle. But day after day, it grows. And soon this fire will become something else. Not revenge. Punishment. In my living room is an old safe, hidden behind books. I often touch it with my fingers, as if it were a scar. Inside is no money. Money has long ceased to matter. Inside are documents, photographs, newspaper clippings, certificates, letters, agreements. These are my chronicles of strength. In the 90s, I built a business from scratch, when everyone around me was stealing, robbing, and becoming beasts. I was no saint, but I had principles. My workers received their salaries even when we were operating in the red. When the tax office came with false accusations, I met them calmly, with open books. They left, and never returned. I remember taking out loans for my children's education, signing papers, betting on the future, not mine, but theirs. I remember once losing everything in one day, and not breaking down. I sat in a dark office, with one phone on the desk, and started again. Partners betrayed. Friends disappeared. But I kept going. Not because of money. Because of dignity. Back then, I was like a samurai in a suit, not for the sake of a sword, but for the sake of a code. People listened when I spoke. It annoyed my enemies. And it inspired my subordinates. I used to protect my family like armor. I remember driving to my son's house at night when people in balaclavas wanted to squeeze his business. I stood in front of their office door alone. 1 against 5. And they left. I remember my daughter losing faith in herself, and I wrote a letter that she read every night for a year. She still keeps it, somewhere between her books, but she no longer remembers it. Today, my phone is silent. There are no letters. Friends have died or forgotten. They no longer invite me to conferences, they don't call me to the anniversaries of the companies I helped found. Not a single mention. Not a single, thank you. I look in the mirror and I don't see the old man. I see the man who held the sky on his shoulders. I'm not a hero, I was the foundation. But today, everyone has forgotten what they stand on. Their present is my yesterday. And while they live in brilliance, not realizing who created the light, I sit in the darkness, and remember. Not with regret. With clarity. Because the one who survived the storm is not afraid of the rain. Pain is not in big blows. No. Real pain is in the little things. It's when you don't seem to be pushed, but every day you are pushed further, further away, until you are no longer standing in the door, but behind the threshold. Hello, son. I can't now, Dad, later. Later is the new never. My grandson came over one day, I asked him to help me set up the TV. He laughed, but what, Grandpa, don't you know how to use the internet? It's simple. I smiled. And something cracked inside. This, simply, was said like a sentence. As if I was no longer able to study. As if I was an antique. I went into the pharmacy. Q. Waiting. The young pharmacist didn't even look up. She turned to the next person, "Girl, is something wrong with you?" I was standing in front of her. I was the first. "Oh, sorry, I didn't notice you." I didn't notice. How often I hear this lately. I'm invisible. When I arrived at the hospital, the doctor looked at the chart and said to the nurse, "Take Grandpa away. The old man is a little out of his mind." "I'm here," I said quietly. He didn't react. "He must be deaf," he said. I heard everything. I understood everything. Last week, I dropped a package in the supermarket. No one helped. People walked by. Some stepped on it. These are little things. But they cut. Deeper than a knife. I don't shout. I don't ask. I remember. In the old leather notebook, between the pages written in ink, new lines appear. August 17th. Oleg. Doctor. The old man is a little out of his mind. August 21st. Anton. Grandson. What are you doing, Grandpa? August 26th. Pharmacy, Krakivska Street. I didn't notice you, this notebook is not a diary. It's an archive. Each entry is not a memory, but a preparation. Like a defense plan. Like a blueprint for a structure that is yet to be built. I walk slowly, look calmly, speak rarely. But I hear everything. I see everything. I am a predator in the shadows. Still in chains. But the key is already in my hand. And each of their "sorry" is an admission of contempt. And each "what will you take from it" is a reminder of why I must act. This is not a desire to humiliate. This is a desire to restore balance. I was returning from the market when I tripped over the curb. The packages flew out of my hands, the apples scattered across the asphalt, the bottle of vinegar broke, soaking the entire package with a foul smell. I was lying on the ground. No one came up to me. A woman walked by and glared at me with disgust. "Let him sit there, old man." People were laughing nearby. Children. Teenagers. One of them said out loud, "He's probably deaf and nobody needs him." And that word. Nobody needs him. It wasn't painful, it was final. Something clicked inside me. Quietly, without a scream. Without a tragedy. It was like the last door closing, and the key staying in your pocket. I got up. Slowly. I took what wasn't spoiled yet. I didn't look at anyone. I just left. At home, I put the packages on the table. I took off my coat. I went into the bedroom. I opened the cupboard. And took out the safe. It hadn't seen the light for 10 years. But the lock opened with the first turn. Inside was an old Nokia phone wrapped in foil. A notebook. A hard drive. Business card holders. Photos. Evidence. Bills. Lists. And a map. The network of people I had once built. Some of them were now influential. Some were debtors. Others were simply grateful. I was their support when the world was falling apart. They had forgotten me. But now I reminded them of myself, not with a voice, but with a shadow. I started calling. Not directly. Through spacers. Numbers that should have disappeared long ago came to life. Anonymous letters appeared on the desks of officials. Information leaks were launched in the right chat rooms. Old dossiers that everyone had forgotten about returned from the darkness. I started playing again. The chessboard was old, but the pieces were the same. The same mistakes. The same greed, pride, fear. I didn't touch anyone. I just pushed. The right people lost their jobs. The press got compromising information. Contracts were broken due to random checks. My son, who had been building an empire for years, woke up in the morning and saw screenshots of personal conversations in the hands of competitors. His name became toxic. My grandson, who laughed at me, lost his grant because, suddenly, they found plagiarism in his diploma. No one asked, who did it? Because no one knew where to look. I disappeared from their radar. But I was everywhere. In silence. In fear. In the ringing bell. In the doors that wouldn't open. I didn't scream. And I didn't knock. I created a space in which everyone saw themselves, the real them. This is not anger. This is symmetry. I am no longer there. Not for the postman, not for the neighbors, not for the family. But I am there. In emails, in delayed calls, in the cold sweat of people who don't understand why everything is suddenly falling apart. It's quiet at home. The streets bypass my house. No one rings the doorbell. But the calls are coming from here. Son. He received an anonymous letter. Inside is an excerpt from an old report, bribery, fraud, from the time when I helped him get back on his feet. Then I covered it all up. Today, I revealed everything. His shares are falling. His lawyers are confused. He calls me. He writes, "Dad, we need to talk. This is serious." I don't answer. Grandson. He was summoned to a commission. It turned out that the thesis was someone else's. His Instagram reputation is fake. Someone, me, leaked all the information to the right blog that loves exposure. He sits in front of the camera and tries to explain that he was leaked, and in the comments, hundreds of mocking faces. I don't laugh. I am calm. I am a retribution that walks barefoot and leaves no trace. A former partner who once stole my business is now the head of a charitable foundation. Demonstrably honest. 3 calls, and the journalist has a story that he has hidden for decades: offshore companies, prostitutes, nightly overpayments for child treatment. Ignoring becomes fear. Fear, an obsessive presence. Presence, recognition. They begin to feel me, not as a person, but as a ghost sitting next to me in the room and watching silently. Their calls become more frequent. Then, they appear on the doorstep. First, a grandson. Then, a daughter. Last, a son. They stand on the doorstep. Without gifts, without, "How are you?" They stand as if for a confession. I don't open it. I write it down. October 10th. All 3. On the threshold. Didn't speak. Just looked through the curtain. I'm not angry. I'm not taking revenge. I'm creating a context in which everyone pays their price. And it's no longer about me. It's about them. About their truth. Their hypocrisy. Their oblivion. I'm the silence that whispers, I'm here. And I see. The house smells of tea. Everything else is silent. So deep that even the old clock on the wall has started ticking more slowly, as if afraid to ruin the moment. I sit in my place. In a blanket. With a cup. With the same TV, without sound. The faces on the screen are still talking, but now I look at them differently. Not as a viewer. Like someone who has already seen a real movie, and it wasn't on the screen. Today they came again. All of them. Son. Daughter. Grandchildren. Not with flowers. Not with smiles. In silence. Sat on a chair in my kitchen, which was once despised. A place that was called the Museum of Old Age. My son can't look me in the eye. My grandson mumbles something about, life is hard, we all make mistakes. My daughter is silent, clutching the kettle, like a lifeline. She understands too. They all feel it. But they don't know how to say it. And that's fair. Because words don't count if you have to go through the silent hell that they themselves have created for me. I don't say anything to them. I just look. And that look says it all. They weren't scared of me. They were scared of themselves. They saw who they had become. How easily they wrote off a living person. How contempt became the norm. They don't ask for forgiveness. They don't even fully understand why. But now every step is in the shadow of my silence. Every decision is under a look that they can't forget. I leave them not anger, but an emptiness in which they will have to live alone. In the evening I open my notebook. I put the last period. Old age is not the end. It is a form of power that everyone fears. Because it sees everything. And is silent. I close the cover. The world outside no longer has power over me. And those who were on top are now standing below, not knowing how to rise. Because I haven't forgiven. But I didn't destroy it. I just reminded you, contempt has a price.